Hey everybody, how are you? It's Jay Victoria, the Energy Queen. And honestly, I didn't expect to be making this video tonight. Um, just sort of having a night off, but um, this is just really important and I don't want to put it off any longer, even though I haven't done all my makeup or anything to show up here. I just feel like, you know, I just feel like I need to put this out in the world for anybody who needs to hear it. And that's about the energetics or the spiritual kind of behind the scenes of abortion. Um, and not just abortion, but pregnancy. And there's so much that I have been gifted to be able to see because I can see energy visually. I've had a lot of experiences too myself learning about these things. I haven't been pregnant in this lifetime, in past lives for sure, but in this lifetime I haven't yet. Um, I would love to. Um, God willing, I really would. Um, but there are some things that I feel I benefit from knowing every day, and I feel would really help other people. So first, let me tell you the motivation for creating this video. In the past, 2 weeks, I think it's just maybe 3 weeks, two different young women have confided in me that they're pregnant out of nowhere, and it's unwanted, and they're not ready. And they're like, my only option is abortion. That's not the only option. And it's just sort of like an interesting time as well, because Roe v. Wade was overturned, and now we have the election, and abortion rights is a big part of that. And I support Kamala in this election. But I have again, this is just information I want to share about the energy of these things, which I think can help people in the long run, because this is not something that is a short-term decision. That's one of the first things I want to say. And I want to also preface what I'm going to say with, my intention is not to make anybody feel guilty. That is not my intention here at all. It's just that, again, two different people came to me, and I didn't necessarily feel comfortable even in those one-on-one I think I always do my best for people, but I was like, I need to do a video where I just sort of lay it all out there, so it's you can take it or leave it, you can listen or not listen. But the one thing I really made sure I said to both these young women is, this is your choice. It is your choice, and it is not just your choice, it's in your spirit. You have the answer. So no matter what I say, no matter what anybody says, that is you have to feel inside of yourself, you have to listen to your spirit, because your spirit can see more than this moment. And that is so important, to get an answer from your spirit, to spend time being quiet, and not just make the decision based on logic, not just make the decision based on the details of your life. You have to feel inside yourself, you guys. You have to just stop and take everything that everybody said and put it aside for a minute. Take all the worry and fear and put it aside for a minute. Take all the details and the practical things and put it aside, because your spirit takes all of that into consideration, and it still knows the best answer, because it can see bigger than you can see right now. It can see the future. It can see who this child would be and what would actually happen. And I think what a lot of people get wrong when it comes to abortion is thinking out of fear. And I'm not 100% anti-abortion. I think that, and again, these are my opinions, okay? Everybody has theirs, but I think for me, there's certain situations where that would make sense, and that may be the best option. And maybe I can't speak for your spirit, but maybe your spirit would say that is what you should do. Um, but one other thing that I told one of the young women is there are so many options. And when you're in fear, don't make decisions from fear. Fear tries to bully you and intimidate you. Fear wants you to make decisions that you will regret later on. It wants to spread more fear. It wants to fester. And so you don't let that make decisions for you, okay? That's one really important thing. You don't make a decision from fear. This is not a rash decision that you should be making. It's not something that you need to force yourself to do, or especially do because someone else told you, or do just because this is a hot topic right now and women are fighting for this right. That doesn't mean that you have to get an abortion yourself or you're not a feminist. That's not what that means. And let's call it what it is. It's killing somebody. That is what this is. It's not taking a tooth out. It's not a medical procedure. It's the ending of a life. And so it's a very serious thing that you want to take seriously. And that's what I want to say spiritually about this is how did I form that opinion? It's not because I just made it up. It's because I've worked with clients who have had abortions, and one of them, to be completely blunt, had a ghost of a baby moving children's toys, because she had children later on, around the floor. And I was telling her about this, and she was like, how did you know? I was like, what do you mean? Because I was saying it's like the ghost of a child. She was like, I had an abortion. And I was like, oh my God. So these are real people. These are real spirits. These are, like, I know for a lot of people who you don't want it to be a rash decision, because if you met the baby, I don't think anybody would choose to end that life if you were looking at the baby. You know what I mean? But it's that real. And yeah, so it's not something that you want to just be like, oh, I have a tooth, it's like a wisdom tooth, I need to get removed. It's not like that. Okay, this is something that has much bigger consequences. And who would that person have been? I mean, there's so many things that will change in the planet because that person's there. So it's like, that's why I say your spirit has the answer, because your spirit will take into consideration all those details. Again, that's where you got to get your answer from. And I've also worked with women who had abortions even in their 30s, and now, in their late 30s, 40s, were trying to conceive and they couldn't. And I can't speak to the medical side of that. I don't know if it was because they had an abortion, but I just know that the fact that a life is coming through you into the world is the biggest gift that you can have. And you have no idea how many people suffer because that's later in life the one thing that they want. Like the one thing. People pay so much money to try to have a baby. And it's like the biggest gift. It really is. It's something that you don't want to just throw it away because it's inconvenient. And like I said, there are so many options. There are so many people that would love to have your baby if you can't raise it. There are so many people that that's just the one thing that they really want. And I worked with a mother in 2022 who was trying to conceive a baby. She was pregnant, actually, when I was working with her. She had the baby and she lost the baby about a month, I think, 33 days. Yeah, the baby only lived 33 days. The baby died, and I was working with her. It was really, really difficult. And it was just honestly so sad to watch her. That was the one thing she wanted, That was the one thing. And luckily she conceived again and she had a baby, and now she has that baby. So it turned out to, I always check in on her, like, how are they doing? I'm so happy for them. But like, I worked and I cleared a lot of the pain that she was going through, because that was in the way of her having her happy ending. And so I know it very well. And I know that if you're younger and you're not in the place where you're like, I wasn't planning for this, it just might not make sense to have a child. I get it. But, and again, this is not about guilt, but it's just about how important this decision is and how serious it is. And um, I know a lot of people feel alone when you're in this situation. So maybe you don't have anybody to get advice from. So that's another reason I wanted to make this, just to be like, you know, this is what I would say to somebody. Um, Even more than I would even have the opportunity to say, I think, because when you're talking to someone in person, you can't maybe give all these details. So that's why I wanted to do a video. But yeah, so like this is the one thing that it's very painful not to have it if you want it. And I think it was extra painful for this mother because she had an abortion and she was like, why did I do that? You know, like it was so stupid. Like it was just sort of like, I didn't think it was the right time. And I think she was only 34 when she had the abortion. So it's like, you know, she was like, why did I do that? I could have had a baby. And yeah, it is that serious, not just because it's someone's life, but because it is the one thing that you can't purchase in life. And birth and pregnancy, it's such a miracle every single time. And I'll give an example too about something that I went through that maybe, I mean, it's a totally different situation, but kind of similar. I adopted a cat in 2022 as well, coincidentally, or not. And I thought I was getting one cat, right? I thought it was like getting one cat. I take her to the vet. I find out she's pregnant. And the vet actually asked me, do you want to, we can just abort the kittens? And I was like, that is the saddest question anybody can ever be asked. Of course, I won't. But I was sort of like, wow, I can't believe that they, you know, I can't, like, I mean, it's like if I wanted to, I could have said, yeah, I don't want to deal with this too much. I want one cat. I don't really know about doing a kitten birth and what am I going to do with all of them. And they didn't even know how many there would be. They were like 4 to 6. I was like, wow. So it's like I can see how somebody might make that choice, but again, I was like, I take life really seriously, and because of all the experiences I've had. So I was like, no, you know, I'm gonna do it. And honestly, when I look, that's how I know, like, if you're faced with a choice like that and you actually see them get born, you have them in your life, like they're your family. I can't even fathom, like, oh my God, I love them so much. And you see them get born and they're so trusting. And that's one thing I want to say about um, energy and souls that are in the womb. They're so bathed in love and they're so trusting and they're so um, real and they're just so miraculous. And when they get born, it's like just so incredible that they're here. You just want to protect them. It's like they're just this, they're like straight from heaven. They're designed by God. The color of their eyes, the color of their hair. I mean, that's just how I feel about kittens. Imagine a human being with your qualities, with, you know, and I know you might be thinking, well, okay, it's beautiful, Jaya, but like, what about feeding them? What about my life? What about, and that's why I'm saying there's so many options and there are so many people who would love to have a baby. And I know another fear that people go through is of judgment. My parents are going to judge me and everyone's going to be mad. Honestly, I don't even think that's true. I think that they might be mad for a week and then they would be like, we're going to help you, because people rally around birth. People rally around babies. People, it's like our natural instinct is to celebrate it. And I felt alone when I know I'm talking about kittens, but it was like a lot of work for me. Like it changed my life. I had to raise there were four. I had to raise 4 kittens from birth. I had to deliver them basically alone on Christmas Day. And yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but I also want to say something else, which is, you know, when you feel like you're going to be alone and then you're like, how am I going to figure this out if I am going to keep the baby? What I'll say is that it really is like you're going along in life and you're going to keep going along in life. And it's just, they're just with you now. So it's like your life doesn't have to stop. you can still do the things you're going to do. It's just they're with you now. And trust me, if you met them, you would never give them up. Um, or it'd be hard to give them up. Um, and and that's how what I realized about these kitties. It's like yeah, I guess I can raise 4 cats, 5 technically. I can do it. And watching them, and they just became part of my life. And to be honest, they actually made me more organized. They didn't take away from my life. They made me better. They made me more organized. They made me more on top of my game. My comedy got better. My business got better. Like everything got better. Actually, it's like I had to become better. And I think the thing we underestimate about the energy behind this is that you love them so much, and love is a motivating energy. You can move mountains with love. You will reach your goals because you have somebody to do it for now besides yourself that you love. And so it's like you will change in so many positive ways. And I was worried about, how am I going to have, I'm trying to feed myself. How am I going to feed all these cats? I'm worried about this. How am I going to do that? It's like truly like you're just going along and now they're going with you and you figure it out. Like honestly, it's not crazy. And I'm not saying again that you need to raise your baby, but it's just like there are probably a lot of people watching this, and some of the people, I bet you could, depending on where you're at. And even if you feel like you can't, there would be people to help. And um the other thing is, like, it was so beautiful to watch their effect on the world. And I gave 2 of the kittens away, and they're in happy families and they're so loved. And it's like that's such a gift, not just to, you know, me, but to those people. And so it's just like life and love, it's just so beautiful and it's so real and it's so important. And there's just so much I want to say. I hope it's coming across. But the other thing I want to say is, like, I had a physio, I forget what cranial sacral therapy session once, and he actually took me back to being in the womb myself. And I've never had an experience like that, but I could feel energetically, again, like you're so bathed in love. You're so just immersed in love, and it was just the most beautiful feeling. And that really changed the way I saw the entire world, because I realized everybody and everything that I see came from that place. No matter how bad they might seem now, or how mean they might get, even if it's a mean dog or a mean person, they came from that. We all did. And when your baby is inside of you, that's the state it's in. It's just bathed in love. It's so trusting. And I feel like you have to really have respect for that and honor for that. That's where you came from. Imagine if someone had done that, had gotten rid of you. So it is a very serious thing. This is a very serious topic. Like I said, I think there are certain situations where, people have said to me, well, Jay, what about being raped? What about incest? What about when a mother is gonna die because there's a complication with the baby? And like, there are situations where it makes sense that you might want to abort the baby. And again, you'd have to feel inside your spirit for that, yes or no. And I would also add, like, be sure. And again, you don't want to rush that kind of decision, and you don't want anyone else to make it for you. Because like I told you, that's something that you take with you the rest of your life. And you really don't know if you're going to get another chance to have a kid. You don't know, like, you just don't know. So I'm just saying, yeah, take your time. Let your spirit tell you what to do. Listen to that. And also on top of that, I'd say there are so many people who want children in this world, who would love them, and we all come from that place of love. And this isn't it's supposed to be an experience of love, not shame, not pain, not hurt. And no matter how hurt, like fearful you feel about being judged and being, people being mean to you, like honestly, just be so proud of the miracle of life that's happening inside of you. That is incredible. This is something that only a woman's body can do. It's a miracle. It's incredible. And some women don't get to experience that at all, and it's the one thing that they want. So it's a beautiful thing. And no matter what anyone else's opinion is, you can hold that dignity inside of yourself. If you choose to keep your baby and you know people are going to judge you and you know it might be hard, you do it with your strength, your inner strength. You listen to your spirit. If your spirit says to do it, then you know that you're going to be okay. And you just love yourself and that baby and God. Like, it's just all going to align, and it doesn't matter how much judgment you get. You just hold that dignity, because that is the one thing that is the most important in this lifetime, is birth. It's the most incredible miracle. So you just, hold yourself like the queen you are, and you take care of yourself. You take care of that baby, and you fight for what you believe in. And that's what you should do. And there are so many people that will support you in that. You will find somebody. If you, no matter if, your parents think you're too young and it feels like everybody's judging you, I think eventually people will support you. But yeah, there will be people who will be there for you and who will recognize the miracle that this is, and that it's not just an inconvenience, and it's not going to ruin your life, and it is going to be okay. And I've had cousins, a couple of my cousins were adopted, and my aunt actually couldn't have children, and then she adopted 2 girls, and then she actually had a boy like herself. So like, but like, I look at my 2 female cousins, and it's just so cool that they had a family and we knew they were adopted. And yeah, there's a lot of different options, and you're not alone. You don't need to feel bad about yourself. And I think the other thing that will happen when you go through this is that you will hopefully be not hard on yourself, but look for the lesson and be careful. I think the conversation about abortion also needs to include the way babies are made. How do we have sex? Do we treat that with respect too? Do we treat that as something that's important, or are we just sort of like pretending that it's just for fun? I think that the energy of sex is a whole other video, but what I've learned is that that's also a very personal journey. And even you're kind of playing with fire with it all the time. You're playing with life itself. And I know I've been in a couple situations where I was scared, maybe I'm pregnant, I don't want to have a child with that person. I get it. I've never had an abortion myself, because I don't think I could, to be honest. Like, everybody's different, but like, but yeah, hopefully it makes you think carefully about who you share your body with and how you do it. And hopefully you develop even more self-love and self-respect, and always know that if you're not ready to have a baby, then you need to make sure that you don't get pregnant. Like, that's what you need to do. And yeah, and it's not something like, again, I'm not here to make anybody feel bad or guilty, but that's a lesson that you need to learn. And life sometimes will, when you need to learn something, be in your face about it. And sometimes even the fact that you get pregnant, or you're scared you're pregnant, and that can teach you a lot. Even the fear, am I pregnant? That can teach you about what am I doing with my life? Why did I have sex with that person if I don't really want to be with them? Why? Like, there are a lot of lessons that can be layered into these experiences, and don't let them get away from you. Take this situation seriously. This is the most serious life and death situation. And you want to, again, let your spirit guide you. And I think that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. And if you are going through something really hard and you desperately need somebody to talk to, my email is always in the description of my videos. And yeah, I'm someone who you can talk to. And I hope that you could feel that this is all said with so much love. So thank you for watching. Much love.